You are enough.
You are capable.
You are important.
You are success.
You are loved.
Yes, you are focused. You are focused on having the absolute best 12 months of your professional life. We are so excited. This is the last show of the year, so thank you for joining us. And truly, 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 from the whole team, you are loved, you are appreciated, and we want to do everything in our power to make sure that you are as successful as possible, as fast as you can go, right? As fast as possible. There's a lot of possibles in there, but you get it. So we love you guys. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being a part of the real estate investing live show over the last year. Now, have you ever thought about that movie, Wolf of Wall Street, where he says, sell me this pen, right? Sell me this pen. It's this big famous thing. Every sales guy's like, oh, I would love the chance to do that. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous. What would I say and do and whatever. Basically what that means, that whole story about selling me this pen is we are deal finders. We're not deal creators. The whole thing behind that whole exercise, behind that whole scene, is the fact that you don't sell something to somebody, or you don't, in our world, you don't go after people that are not, that don't have motivation, that don't want to sell their property. You're not going to convince people to sell a property at the price that you want, right? You can only pre-qualify them, follow up with them, show them all of the benefits of working with you, and have them make the decision. We are deal finders, not deal creators. And if that is one thing that sticks in your head from this entire year, you are going to be wildly successful. Because when you figure out that we are deal finders, not deal creators, you're not gonna live in that place of frustration of, why won't people do business with me? Why won't these people just make a decision? All of those things. No. Our job is to have as many quality conversations as possible to filter through everybody that we speak to see who are going to be the 10, 20, 50, 100 people this year, 100 property owners this year that are going to do business with us. Okay? That is the essence. Stop trying to convince people. Just go out there with your personality and with your heart of a servant to go out there and solve the problems of distressed property owners in your community, in your marketplace, in your city, in your town, wherever. All right, that is what is important. Now, this is part 2 of a 2-part series, right? The first part was going over the first 7-8 steps, and I kind of screwed up last week, and I'll show you where I did. But I did want to let you know that all 17 steps here that I'm going through, it's a checklist. It's literally the order that you do every single wholesale transaction. All right, we have it right here. Matt, do you mind putting it up? This is the checklist that we have in ttpinsider.com. ttpinsider.com. We've got this checklist ready. Oh, we got to reload it. So we'll pop it up on the screen here in a second. But listen, the whole checklist is in TTP Insider. Get it, download it, use it. I'm telling you, if you use it every single time, you're going to be very confident understanding every single little process. Every part of this wholesaling process, step 1 through 17, you just go through it in order, and your deals are going to go a lot smoother. So while Matt's working on that, let's switch over to the whiteboard here and pick up where we left off last week. All right, so we started with, first you got to find a list to target, right? This is, sorry guys, this is where we are pulling our distressed property owners, all right? We're not going after every property. We're going after the statistically 6 to 10% of the real estate market that is in distress for whatever reason. Pre-foreclosure, tax default, can't make the renters aren't making payments. They're tired landlords. The properties were burnt down. They just haven't been updated. There's so many different reasons why properties are in distress. Number 2 is make contact. Quality conversations is the name of the game. Remember, when we're making contact, we have 3 options. 1, we buy people to call us. That's called marketing, right? That's called direct mail. That's called pay-per-click. That's called billboards. That's called bandit signs. All of those things. Number 2 is we get referrals from our network. We get people that we're trusted. We are known in our area as the trusted cash buyers or the trusted real estate investors that people bring deals to. And the third one is being proactive and going out there and you reaching out either by door knocking or picking up the phone and calling people. And obviously that's the whole talk to people message is be proactive, go out there and make contact and have a quality conversation. From there, we have to qualify every single lead. Every conversation that we have with the property owner surrounds we're looking for 4 things, right? We're looking for the condition of the property, timeline to sell, their motivation to sell, and their price. There are 4 pillars of pre-qual that direct the conversations that we're having with distressed property owner. Next is due diligence. Is this a deal or not a deal? Running comps, making sure that the people that we're talking to are the actual owners, right there. Lead follow-up, 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 follow-up. I'm telling you, 99% of the time, when you talk to somebody for the first time, they're not going to be laydowns. All right, you're going to have to follow up with them, follow up with them, follow up with them. Be fanatical with your lead follow-up. Number 6, this is what I talked to Tom Kroll on the phone before last week's show, and I was all pumped up, and then my team's like, yeah, we're closing $402,000 this month, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the biggest month ever, so I was all crazy and frazzled, so I forgot to put appointment. Appointment is number 6. Number 7 is your offer presentation, because sometimes you go on appointments just to build rapport, just to build trust. You don't necessarily want to give an offer presentation every single time if you feel like you can go out there and build the trust. They need a little bit more hand-holding and their timeline's further out. You don't want to give them an offer now because it'll be leveraged. Remember, time kills all deals. So the appointment offer presentation, that's when we're going through and breaking down. This is the offer presentation should feel natural. It's the natural progression of really good pre-qualifying and lead follow-up is our offer presentation. Number 8 is the contract acceptance. This is where we're picking up. Woo! Now we're moving, baby. Now we've got that signed contract. Now we have opportunity. Oh my gosh, now they are committed to you. You are committed to them. It's incredible. You got the contract signed. You're almost there, right? You're almost there. The next step is you got to open up escrow immediately. All right. What I do is I use Turbo Scan. It's an app. You can download it, Turbo Scan. I take a picture. You can do it with just a Google, just an Apple phone now, and turn pictures into PDFs. But I use Turbo Scan because it's super intuitive and really easy to use. And I send it right to my escrow officer, or now my acquisition managers do. But right there at the table, after it's signed, we send it right to the acquisition manager, or we forward the email if it's an electronic signature if you're doing a virtual appointment. Okay, get it to the escrow officer as soon as possible because they need time to do their job to make sure that it closes as quickly as possible. So we open up escrow, and then we deposit the earnest money. Right? All earnest money is, it can be $1, it could be $1,000, it could be $10,000, it could be $100,000. But typically it's, in our industry for what we're doing, it's about $100. If you're working with a real estate agent, if they're representing the seller, they're going to want 1% of the purchase price. That's what they're trained to look for. So you need to deposit that earnest money, especially if in your state you need consideration, that's what it's called, earnest money, consideration for a contract to be valid, like in Arizona. You need to have that. All right? deposit the earnest money. Number 10, this is when we start going bananas. This is when we start reaching out to every cash buyer we have, telling them how great this property is. You've got an off-market opportunity, a perfect fix and flip, a perfect rental property to add to their portfolio, a perfect multifamily, an incredible vacant lot with a ton of potential. This is when we really have to make it sensational. This is where we really need to make sure that our deals pop. And what we're selling here is the actual contract. We're marketing the contract. Right? This is what's really interesting, because we're not selling the property. We're not real estate agents. We're selling the contract. We're selling the right to purchase that property. All right? So make sure that you understand that. Make sure that you're not out there trying to sell a property that you don't own. It gets into kind of like an agency type issues. And so you want to make sure that you are marketing the contract so that they can purchase it. Now, obviously, you're going to put in all the information about the property, but truly you're marketing the contract. All right? Next, number 11 is your cash buyer inspection. Now, here in Arizona, we've got an incredible reputation. Same with Rafael Cortez here, who I'll bring on here in a second. But most of our buyers, 85% of our buyers, buy the property sight unseen, because we take incredible pictures. We tell them everything that's going on with the property that we know of, and we let them make their decisions. Now, 85%, they just want to buy it sight unseen. But if they do want to get in there and see the property, this is where you have to set up in this section. When you have an appointment with that seller, you need to future pace them that in 2 or 3 days, I'm going to have everybody come through the house. I need a 2-hour window for my cash buy for the inspection to bring everybody through. It's going to be an absolute circus, but then after the 2 hours, I'll be out of your hair. Set that up while you're on the appointment for a few days out. So it gives you enough time to market that to enough buyers to go through it, and then set up the inspection. We always do it, and then we say, listen, we need 2 hours on Thursday between 2 and 4. Does that work? Great. And then if somebody buys it sight unseen, we say, you know what? We're good. We're moving forward. Life's good. Just keep working with the title and escrow. This is us speaking to the seller. Work with title and escrow to make sure that they get all the information that they need from you to close this deal smoothly. All right? And then you pick which buyer you want to work with. This is assigning the deal. You use an assignment contract. Right? This is what you use, an assignment of the contract. It's in TTP Insider. Everything's in there. If you are not an insider, you are like losing out on hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of free tools and resources. Assign the deal. This is where you pick it. And listen, this is really important. Sometimes we don't pick the highest offer because we feel like there's something goofy going on. They're just not sounding like they're a real buyer. They're sounding like maybe they're trying to lock our deal up to try to sell it to somebody else. I would rather go with somebody that is going to put down that earnest deposit right away, non-refundable, $5,000. We're moving on to 13 here. This is when you know you've got a legit buyer. When you assign that deal, and in our assignment contract, they need to get this earnest deposit in by 5 o'clock that same day if they sign the assignment before noon. And then I'm going to go fast here so that there's questions, right? We have 2 hours in the show, so if something's like, just put it in the comments. Alejandro will pick it, and we'll break it down some more. All right, but you want $5,000 non-refundable in the same day if you assign it before noon. If it's afternoon, by noon the next day. It needs to be fast. This is make or break for your cash buyers. If they're not doing this, and if they're they're letting this slip, or they're being real relaxed with this, they're going to be relaxed with the whole transaction, which is going to cause a lot of frustration when it comes to the closing date. Because whether or not their funds are coming in on time, whether or not they're on vacation when they're supposed to be closing and signing, a lot of different things come into play. This is a great indicator if they're just being relaxed, chill bro out there, or broette that, is going to kind of, not really communicate as well, and is just trying to, get that deal, but isn't going to close when the agreement says to close. Okay, I'm just telling you. Next is you talk to the title company and you get what's called a clear to close. This means that all of the liens are set up. They got all the payoff information. They know all the people that need to sign from the seller's standpoint, and it's called clear to close. This is when there's clear title is ready to transfer to your new cash buyer. This is really important because this is the part. If you're not following up on this, this can make transactions go a lot longer. If there's something that's sticky on the title that's clouding it up, and the title company can let you know sooner, you can help the family or the seller to fix that, to get whatever paperwork they need or talk to an attorney or whatever it is. But you need to understand what happens here. Once you get that clear to close, you are like right there. This is like you're running down, you're returning a kickoff, you're like at the 10-yard line, right? And the next is the buyer's funds to close. The buyer's funds are there. The buyer's either their hard money or they have wired their funds into the title company, and this is where oh my gosh, you're almost there. It's almost there, and then we go to the close the deal. Boom, you close the deal. Once the sellers are there, it's clear to close. They sign, and the buyers have their funds in, and they've signed, and everybody's happy. It gets closed, and then the title company sends you a congratulations on your closing. And you know what the 17 is, baby. You know what that is. This is where you get your assignment fee. This is where you get your assignment check. This is when you get that wire sent into your checking account. Just imagine it. That wire for $37,500 hitting your personal checking account or your business account like that. And then you open up your app and you're like, oh my gosh, this is real. I could do this again and again and again and again, and I could build a business around this. And I could take these funds that I just got and I could put that into that property that I wanted to buy so that I can start building wealth, so that I could get some depreciation, so that I can get some cash flow. This is what we're talking about. This is how we bring this all together. All right, that is the 17 steps, and here is the little checklist that I want to give you in TTP Insider. Go ahead. There you go. 17 steps to every wholesale deal. Guys, you can put this on your sheet, on your file, whatever you do with the paperwork for whatever deals you have, put this on top and boom, 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 boom. I am telling you, it's going to keep you organized. And if you're organized, then you're confident. And if you're confident, then you're not distracted. And if you're not distracted, then you can go after more deals while this deal is getting closed. Because the problem is, we get into this deal, we're not really sure what's going on. We babysit it more than we need to. We stop doing the things that got us the lead in the first place, and then all of a sudden our business is like this all the time. I want to prevent that too. Also, I want to bring into the show my resident genius, Mr. CEO Pulse, Rafael Cortez. Rafael. Listen. We gave you a good camera today. You are like full 6K, 8K, 12K. You're looking good.
I have a plant behind me.
From a process standpoint, though, Raf, from a process standpoint, how important is it to be confident that you know what the next step is and that it's not just I found a deal and I signed it and then I hope I get paid?
Yeah, no, it's everything. It really is. It's everything. At the end of the day, like there's theory, right? People go to YouTube University. We kind of look at the ins and outs of how to put a deal together. But if you don't have an actual process that you follow, you don't know what's coming around the curve, that's dangerous. One thing that I saw that I kind of want to mention is it's about keeping control of the deal. A lot of times it can be one of the most challenging things, right? Especially if you don't have a foundation like that checklist that you just went through. I think it's gold. It's absolute gold. But the thing is to keep control of the deal for as long as you can. And how do you do it? You got to know what's coming. You have to know what's coming.
That's it. And I think that's what trips us up. I remember the first time as a real estate agent, I'm 22 years old. And it's just friends and family that I'm working with. It's 2004, and I get my parents want to put an offer in on a house, And I'm like, I have no idea how to fill this thing out. I was so nervous. My palms were sweating. I thought it was like the end of the world if I didn't do it right. And it was a busy market at the time, and you had to be on top of things. And it was just like I was so nervous, and I didn't understand, okay, then if they get the deal, then what happens?
Yeah.
Right? I want to get rid of all of that. I never want you guys to have that feeling because that slows you down. And it really does. Really, our job is having quality conversations with distressed property owners. And once you understand, will you put that 17 steps up one more time, Matt, with me in the corner? That'd be great. Once you understand that when you start building a business, when you start scaling, when you start building a team and bringing people on, they start taking one of these 17 steps. You understand them, right? Like my lead manager makes the list to target. Right? My phone prospectors are the ones that are making contact and having quality conversations, or texting, or we do pay-per-click, or we do, well, that's about it, right? Next is pre-qualify them. That is my acquisition manager. Due diligence, that's my disposition manager. Lead follow-up, acquisition is appointment, offer presentation is appointment, contract acceptance is my acquisition manager, open escrow, acquisition manager, market contract to buyers, disposition manager, cash buyer inspection, disposition manager, assign the contract, dispo, all of those things. Listen, it breaks down to different roles. That's the beautiful part. If you're doing all of these things as a solopreneur right now and you're building your business, now you know who to bring on and what their roles are. This doesn't have to be rocket science, guys. This isn't like we're running some sort of retail shop. This isn't like we're running a restaurant. This isn't like we're engineers. This isn't like we're making microprocessors, all right? We're finding ugly houses. We're having a quality conversation with the property owner, and we're selling them to people that want to do something special with them, like put them into their portfolio or fix them up and flip them. And these are the 17 steps that you need to take so that you can be successful at that. That's it. That's only 17 steps. Most things in life take way more steps. Go try being a kindergarten teacher, right? Or a scientist or a firefighter. There's so many more steps. So I'm telling you, this is the most incredible business. We can keep it really simple and make an absolute fortune. So use it and implement it into your business right away. All right? Good. So let's crack this thing open. Guys, this show is designed for a few different reasons. One, to give you the instructions so that you can be successful faster. Two is to celebrate your success when you have it. So make sure that you put in, I want to ring this bell, and celebrate your success. And three is to answer the questions that you have. Really, this show is your show. This show is for the next 95 minutes. We just open this thing up to question and answers so that anything that you're working on or anything that you want to be celebrated gets recognized and gets answered. So you've got myself, and I'll do the best that I can, and we've got Raphael to make sure that you get the perfect instruction that you need. And you need to be nice to Alejandra because she picks your comments. So make sure that you send her some. And the fourth part, obviously, is squatting up in the comments. Make sure you let everybody know where you're from. Make sure you let everybody know, especially if you're closing deals, put what you're making and where this deal was so that people understand that you're being successful and they're squatting up with you because people want to be around people that are in action. All right? Awesome. Are you supposed to get your earnest deposit back at closing? Ben Turk, yes. That is a great, great question. It is in the assignment agreement there that talks about getting your earnest money back once you're out of the deal because you no longer are in the deal. You're no longer the buyer of this deal unless you want to close it. Obviously, if you're going to close it, then that's a whole different deal. But if you're the buyer, if you're not the buyer or the seller, then you don't need money in the deal. All right? Great question. Can we turn down the air a little bit? It's a little bit warm. Brianna, I'm running into locking up deals for too high. I'm running into comp issues. Any advice? Yeah. A couple different things, Brianna. One is when you're getting started out, it's really, really, really important to make sure that you have somebody that can check your work. whether that be a local mentor, whether it be like that's probably, what do you think, Alejandro? Probably 30 to 40 texts a day that I get comping properties from the TTP, my TTP coaching students around the country. So I keep an eye, make sure that they don't do that. But if you're out there and you just want to stay local, then just find somebody that you can run it by. Even if it's a real estate agent that's a friend, I guarantee you, if you post, and this was great that Ryan Zolan talked about last week working with real estate agents on the show that we do on Thursday. He said, I need help. I need a good real estate agent. You post that to social media, you're going to find an incredible amount of friends or family that are doing the business that can help you run comps so that you feel confident. And they'll work that way because then you can refer them anybody that should sell retail, that you're calling up and their house is in better condition than you thought, and they do want to sell, but they want full retail price. You can refer them over. Now you can't get paid on those referrals unless you have a license, but you could. It's a win-win relationship. You got something?
No, that's what I was going to say. I mean, you can't really directly get paid, but it becomes a give and take, right? You're giving them value, and then in exchange for that, you're going to tap into their information, their network, the resources and tools they already have. So, yeah, don't feel like you're missing out, because when the deal comes, they're going to really make out on what you have to offer. Yep.
So, have somebody look at that. The other thing that I would say is you can do a lot of damage just with Zillow. If it's in like a regular neighborhood, Brianna, Zillow or PropStream, ttpdata.com, I mean, that's going to give you a better number just because their algorithms are stronger. But the Zillow does a good job. Listen, the first deals that I didn't even comp except for Zillow, and I did 66%, 50%, and 25%. That's the rule. If it's over 250, we need to do a graphic of this. We need something that pops up. Can you do something like that? Can we do? Well, you're doing comments and stuff. We'll do it after. Anyway, if it's above 250,000, Brianna, it is 66%. If it's between 100,000 and 250,000, it's 50% of the Zillow price. And if it's under 100,000, it's 25%, and that'll put you in a good position.
Hey, is that inside the Insider? Do you have that in Insider?
It will be
a graph. Okay.
Yeah. It will be. Yeah. Hey, Brent, how do I find buyers fast if I were to make a deal today? Well, let's change that to if, and let's change that to get a deal today, Chris. First of all, we should all wake up, and one of the first questions we ask is, who's going to sign a contract today? Who's going to sign the contract? Who's going to sign an agreement today? However you want it, who is going to do business with me today? That is an incredible way to open up your mind, because then you're going to be laser focused on the people that you think are the highest potential to do business with you today, right? So first, lock that up. Second, if I had no buyers, if I was just going into any market right now, what I would do is I would lock up a deal, and I would go on Zillow, and I would put in the zip code of that area, and I would look at all the listings that are flips. All of them. And I would probably do for sale first, and then once I ran through that, I'd go through the solds, and I'd call every single real estate agent that had a flip. It's a flip because these properties are staged or they're vacant and they look great. There's no, signs of someone living in there, like shoes and things in the bathroom and things in the closets, right? So and then you just call them up and you say, hey, listen, I saw your listing here. It looks incredible. I actually just locked up a deal that's off market in that zip code, in that area, and I was just reaching out to see if you wanted another project, if you're ready for another project in that area, if you wanted me to send you the details. And I would do that over and over and over again. And then what I would do is I would Google wholesale real estate in wherever you're at, Chris, Dallas, Baltimore, Phoenix, whatever. And I would call up every single wholesaler that I could and say, hey, listen, I've got this deal. I've got it locked up at 115. I want 130 for it. Whatever you sell it for above 130 is yours. Are you interested in blasting this out to your database? And most of them are, because listen, the way you get buyers to like be ravenous for your deals all the time is you have to give them a lot of deals. So even if they make 1,000 or 2,000 on a deal, they can make 50,000 on the next deal that they do with that buyer, because that buyer is opening up their emails and checking their texts, and these wholesalers have a good reputation. So don't sleep on that. I don't mind you partnering up and squatting up with other wholesalers in your area to sell that deal. Raf?
Yeah, 100% squatting up, man. That's the key. Go section 8.com. It's also a very good one.
Great.
Depending on the type of property. But go section8.com. If it's something that's rentable, you literally get phone numbers from buy and hold investors in that website.
Yep.
So go section8.com. It's a really good one. Every time you have, now, Chris, here's another. Every time you have a property under contract, use that to build your buyer's base. Even if you have it placed, if you find somebody who's going to push it, still, use it to market and put your name out there. Now you have something, you have an offering, you have, something that's tangible that buyers can look at, and now you're building up your history. But always leverage any property that you get to put your name out there and start building your buyer's list.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Good question. Get that deal. Hamilton, when walking through a property with a homeowner and the property has old rehabs, garage, extra square footage, etc., without permits, when rehabbing, who pays the permits, buyer or seller? It depends on where you're at, Hamilton. Like here in Phoenix, if it's built and they haven't told you to tear it down and it's done, it kind of stays. So it's really, really county by county, and it's really like the zoning and building. What is that? The building department? Zoning and building department? That comes out and inspects, additions and everything, right? For the city? Right?
Yeah, it's going to be the inspections. So,
Yeah,
so they have
if
city
they're not
inspectors
coming
come
out, if they didn't red sticker it or whatever in our area, then you can use it, as long as you make it up to code as you're rehabbing it, so that that's more for passing the appraisal when you're selling it. You need to make sure that the appraiser finds that as livable square feet as opposed to non-livable square feet, because the difference, the value difference is significant. So, when if you're going to be rehabbing anytime as a buyer, you're paying for the permits. You're paying for the inspections. So if it's got old additions and it's kind of Frankenstein and it doesn't make sense, it's more, Hamilton, I've seen that more of the time you have to rip down some bad work just because it makes the floor plan super funky. But if it's there and nobody's caught it, for the most part, the county's pretty cool with it. The only reason, the county really wants you to do permits, one, because they want to make sure that it's up to code and things don't just fall down on people and hurt people or start fires or whatever else. But also, they want to make sure that they know the square footage of this property so that they could tax you more. Property tax on the size of the property and the value of the property. Because if it's bigger, then it's going to be more valuable, typically. And if it's more valuable, they're going to tax you on that.
That's the building department office.
Yeah.
That's the official name of it.
There you go. Building department office. At least here. Yeah. There you go. Bridget. Strong. What form of payment is acceptable for the cash buyer earnest money deposit? Do they send the direct deposit directly to the title company? That's right. Bridget, they bring it right to the title company. It could be a personal check. It could be a wire. It could be a cashier's check. Some wholesalers have the policy that it has to be either a wire or cashier's check. I don't care. Like if I've never had somebody bring in a bogus, like they don't have enough funds in their account to cover their personal or business check that they just wrote. So I don't care either way. If you want to like kind of make the process a lot smoother, you can send them information. We do this, and a lot of bigger wholesaling companies do this. Send in the wiring information, so it makes it really easy, because now you can wire from your phone. You can wire the funds in from your phone. Here's the instructions. Here's what you got to do. Here's the account number. Here's the tracking. Here's the whatever else that you got to put in there. And it makes it pretty easy. But for the most part, I'd say 80% just bring in a check, just drop off a check, or have a check get picked up by a courier.
And they can set that up. The title company will set up the courier. The point here is to have the money deposited soon. One thing that I want to bring up, because I saw it on the checklist, is we won't stop marketing the property until the earnest money is in, and we let them know that. That way they don't daisy chain it for 2 or 3 days. So if they take an extra 12 hours to deposit the check.
Daisy chain mean?
I mean, they're just dragging their feet on depositing the EMD, and sometimes they'll do that
because
depending on the buyer.
Maybe buy it.
Maybe they're not the buyer. They're trying to find a buyer for it. They're trying to call wholesale, and they're not being completely honest about that kind of stuff. So as long as EMD is out, we'll stop the marketing. I mean, it's deposited. I'm sorry, at the title company. Then we'll stop the marketing. Before then, I mean, we still market, and we'll send another email out even right after we got the contract. It's like, okay, EMD's in. We pull it out of the market, but keep control of the deal that way.
Awesome.
And make it easy for them to deposit EMD. I mean, some escrow companies already have like apps and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Let me ask you, just off topic here for a second. Just hold on to the comments under. You could clear out Bridget here. I think we got there. Writing goals, Raf, because you've got that CEO mind. You've got a beautiful blend between analytical and driver, right? Personalities, right? Am I right? That's your.
It's ID, but I adapt very well to the C, which is the analytical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you write your goals?
Oh yeah, 100%.
How do you write your goals? Like, do you write them for the year? Do you write them for the quarter? Do you write them for the week? Do you write them for the day? What do you do?
I do yearly goals, and I reverse engineer whatever my results were. I reverse engineer from that.
Yeah.
But I break it down by quarters.
Right.
So quarterly, this is what we're shooting for. Those are more realistic, I think. From a fast moving, especially in a small business where everything's faster, and you pivot and you do all kinds of changes, faster than a bigger business. It's quarterly makes sense, but we break it down to actionable steps. Okay, this week this has to happen, and top 3 priorities. I mean, I keep calling it top 3 priorities, but I focus on the top 3 priorities and then start hitting those one by one.
Give me an example of what a top 3 priority is.
So, for example, like an emphasis, right? We have an average deal count of 8 deals on the board. That's one. We're looking for 8 to 12. Yeah.
All the time.
That's a minimum, right? We're aiming for 8 deals. What do we have to do to have 8 deals on the board every single month?
That's great.
And then, I mean, based on the cost per lead and the conversion rate and how many deals we get locked and all that stuff, we have KPIs that we can follow, because of our performance, right?
Yeah.
So now we know what to shoot for. But you have to write that stuff down, and this all compiles to that big number at the end of the year, which is just reverse engineer the goal.
By the way, last week, in case you guys forgot, last week Raf literally left this show at noon at 12:02, went to an appointment in Tempe on a commercial deal. You want to break that down real quick?
Yeah.
You want to break it down up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, break it down. Come here.
So it's
This is the Hannah's, guys. Like, this is gonna blow your socks off. Watch this.
So,
what list?
that it's actually a commercial deal that came. Am I on the right side of the screen? There you go. Here.
There you go. The mic's up there.
All right. So, it's a commercial deal. We were marketing for absentee owners. We got an absentee owner that didn't want to sell the property. Hey, sir, do you have any other properties that you want to market to, or do you want to sell? And you know what? I have this one deal. It's a business, so they actually have a business in place. They want to get rid of the business. It's crazy because it's converting, it's producing. I mean, they have a lot of cash flow in it. They're just tired of running the business.
Got it.
And
tired business owner.
Yeah,
like a
tired business
landlord.
owner. This is the crazy thing about that. All right, so the owner has the property, and then he leased it out with an option to the people who have the business.
Yeah.
Now the people who have the business don't want to buy it. They don't want to buy it, and they want out.
Okay.
They can't get out.
Yeah.
Because the lease option is in place. So now we come in, and then we're buying the actual property, getting them out of the lease option, and they can cancel the business and do whatever they want.
Got it.
Right. So that was like the big pain point. Now this is down the street from ASU, Arizona State University, right off of Mill, down the street. I mean, you throw a rock and you hit the campus. So it's a really, really good spot. Location is just crazy. But the list was absentee.
You can't get deals from absentee owner lists.
I can't believe I'm writing on the board.
I know. Get it going. Absentee.
Absentee. And
So
then,
this is just this is the classic absentee owner list. This is literally like, you know,
your volume list, single family residence,
Yep.
and you know, that type of stuff. I think we even had it. I think this was a list of under $500,000.
Okay.
So that was the filter, right?
Yep.
Absentee owner under $500K.
original purchase price or current value.
No, the list that we're marketing to. So under current value. Yeah.
Current value.
Yeah, current value.
Yeah, got it.
So under 500K. Now the pivot here was the question, right? Do you have anything else that you want to sell?
That's
and then
right.
we landed into this commercial. So there's always stuff there if you ask for it. You just ask. A lot of times, like, this doesn't even register. Hey, you know what? I have this other property. It's land. You may not even be interested in it, but if you asked, you know, they'll put it out. So anyways, we come in. We start negotiating. They were at, I think they were at $3 million. They wanted 3 for it. We're in the middle of the dispo process, so I don't know if I should disclose the. Well, I think at the end of the day, we're gonna end up taking this down. So we're coming in. We're taking. The dispo price is 2.55.
Okay.
All right, and there's a big healthy spread right there in the middle if it gets assigned.
Right.
If not, we're gonna come in and then just take it down.
Yep.
We're doing private money on it.
Yep.
And
But how much are you gonna make on it? Let's just boil this thing down.
250K. That's
Right.
what it's looking at. So it pushes. If it pushes over as
250,000.
a close deal, yeah.
250,000.
Now here's
This guy does massive deals. Look at him. Don't let him fool you.
yeah.
He's a nice guy. I get it, but 250,000. Nice guys finish first.
Yeah. You know what? I agree with that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. So you were talking about exit strategies, right? And I think I saw an email where you're breaking down different exit strategies. That's one of them. So we have that one lined up. That one's lined up. The other one, the property can potentially cash flow $30K a month.
What?
Yeah. We're talking about an eightplex. It's 8 units, and then attached to it, you have this whole commercial building. It's 2,500 square feet, so it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
But if we do highest and best use, which that area would be Airbnb, and we push it, we have the business model for that. It could cash flow, bring in $30K a month.
Keep it.
So exactly, I mean, that's one of the things. If we
I wanna look at
if
that.
we push
If you're gonna
that
keep
right
it, I wanna
now,
look
yeah,
at it.
we're looking at a quarter.
Yep.
If we keep it, it's 30K, around 30K a month cash flow. So
That was after the show. After the show last week, he went there and locked that thing up. Incredible. What's a good rule of thumb for determining the earnest money deposit amount? Is it a percentage of the sale, or are there other criteria to take into account? Great question, Taylor. Here's the thing. If you're working with a real estate agent, if a real estate agent's involved, they're going to look for 1% of the purchase price. That's what they're trained. All right. If you're just going with the property owner, it could be $1, it could be $10. Some owners have sold a lot of property and they want, you know, 1,000, or they want 10,000, or they want whatever. I never let earnest money really stop me from the deal because, you know, for the most part, it's protected. I mean, it's protected in the inspection period, and for the most part, if you're not screwing around and you're picking a really solid buyer that comes in and replaces your earnest money, you're gonna get that back. So it's up to you. Some people put $10. Some people put $100. I think the industry standard is about $100, and we put $1,000 in each one of our deals. So it's up to you, Taylor. Yeah, don't overthink it. I mean, if they want more, then give them more. What do you got? What do you put on yours?
for EMD,
Yeah.
On the buy side, I mean, we do $100.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
again, the thing that matters is consideration. Sometimes you don't even bring it up in conversation, and you
Yep.
just, you know, it's not a problem.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. From IG, how do you find list of absentee owners? Great question. ttpdata.com. ttpdata.com, powered by PropStream. That's where we are pulling our lists. That's where you're going to be able to get all of those distressed property lists. It's $99 or $97 a month. They let you pull a free list by testing it out. So you get a 7-day free trial. I think you can pull up to 2,000 on the free trial, and you can pull 10,000 for the base price every single month. It's bananas. I mean, that's if you're a serious real estate investor, serious real estate wholesaler, you use PropStream. Yep. Two-part question. Okay. Chris, hello, New Jersey here. There you go. Great stuff as usual. I appreciate the help from last week too. I get a lot of landlord sellers or sellers in general that bring up the objection of, why do you need to bring people through my property, or why are you marketing my property? What are some objection handlers to overcome that problem? I love that, Chris. Well, first of all, you got to set the foundation right. The foundation is this. You need, as you are going out there and you are networking and you are getting louder on social media about documenting your experience of being a real estate investor, you're going to naturally be a magnet for people that have the money, for financial partners, right? And it's very, 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 I am telling you, your confidence level goes through the roof if at any time you have somebody that if you brought them the deal of a discounted property that you can lock up, they would be your money partner, okay? So it's really important to have the financial backing so that you are the actual buyer. When you do that, then you can have the confidence in saying to the property owner, one of our exit strategies is to get really loud about the property to all of our network of other investors. If they want to pay me to do this deal instead of us doing this deal, that's one of our exit strategies as a real estate investor. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, great. Why do I have to bring a ton of people through? Because I need everybody to get through and see this property to make sure that there's nothing that's going to torpedo this deal. There's nothing that, I didn't see or that we just don't feel comfortable with, and I need to be able to get everybody in. I'm an investor. I'm not an inspector. I'm not a contractor. I'm not the financial partner. I'm not a cash buyer network that I work with. So I need to make sure that all those people can come in and be comfortable with this deal. So, listen, be honest with them, Chris. That's what I would say. And, or if you can if this is truly a deal, close the deal. If they're like, no, I don't want you marketing the property and I don't want you bringing anybody through, but that this is a 20, 30, 40, 50K deal, you better close that deal, Chris. Close it with funds, and then you're in complete control. That's the confidence that I want you to have, right? And you only have that if you have the ability to close it. And listen, you don't need the full 100%. You just need a down payment. You need the 10 to 20%, and then get a hard money loan from somebody and be able to close that deal. So if they're asking you those things, then answer it and then ask them a question. Why do you need to bring people through my property? Just to make sure we're 100% confident moving forward. Is there any issues with us going through the property? And then just open it up. Well, I don't want my tenant to know about it. The tenant's going to know about it. You're transferring the, you're selling the property. Well, I don't want them to leave if you go through and you don't close the deal. Where would they go? Right? You could just, I completely understand, and I don't want that to happen either. We're going to be very respectful, and I'm going to give you an answer as soon as possible in the inspection period if we're moving forward. 95% of the time we do. It's the 5% that we just have to make sure. We've been burned in the past by not getting into property, so it's part of our company policy to make sure that we get eyes on the property and walk it. And there it is. And if it's a smoking deal, just close it. Sight unseen. We close deals sight unseen all the time. No problem. We'll buy it. Boom. So a couple different things. One, have the ability to close those. And two, just be honest with them. Answer the question and then ask them the question. Why does it matter? Most of the time they're just curious. Most of the time they want confidence knowing that when you commit to them that this is going to get done. So most deals, if you sell this thing on the market, it's a bloodbath. If you bring a true home inspector into these properties, it's crazy. Do you have anything to add there? No? Yeah? Good.
No, I think you nailed it.
Yeah. Trey, 19 years old, made $13,500 in September, first deal. Come on. There we go. That is incredible, Trey. Congratulations. 19 years old. Keep it going. Don't get crazy with that. Listen, I know that seems like $1 million, but you can burn through that real quick. Keep that money. Keep building and building and building a big, heavy bank account. All right? Just keep building it until you can start buying assets and start expanding your business. But build it. Congrats. It's awesome. Daniel Radcliffe. Isn't that the name of Harry Potter? Yes. Right? Awesome. I'm using Deal Machine and have 171 distressed properties. Should I get to 500 with the free trial before calling? I would start calling right away, and I would keep it going. I mean, I think it's, if you use the TTP coupon code with Deal Machine, you get it for, what is it, $50? $50 a month, and it's going to give you all the information of all the ugliest houses in your area. It's bananas. So dealmachine.com, make sure you put in TTP for the coupon code and build it up. But here's the thing: if you got 170, I would start calling right away. If you're not driving, then you're calling. And I think that's your question, Daniel, is should I stop driving so that I can start calling? Do both. You got time. 168 hours a week. I need 20 from you if you're part-time. If you're part-time, I need 20 hours for you to side hustle this thing and to build your business. 20 hours. That's it. You can find it. I know you can find it. I know you can, especially if you got pressure. I hope you have that pressure. I hope that you don't have a tremendous amount of money in your account. I hope that people tell you that you're an idiot. I hope that people tell you can never be a real estate investor or that you're never going to be successful. I hope that. Woo, that's fire, baby. That's like, woo. Yeah, here we go. Here's the perfect schedule here. 20 perfect part-time schedule. Man, you're on it, Matt. Look at this guy. Dude, MVP. I'm telling you, you might steal it from Alejandra this week. We'll see. Part-time schedule, 20. She rolls her eyes. She's like, yeah, right. It's not going to happen. 15 hours lead generation, 1 hour practice and role play, 1 hour lead follow-up, 1 hour driving for dollars, 2 hours appointments, driving. And if you don't have appointments, then you're driving for dollars, doing more lead follow-up. When you're starting, that's usually going to be driving for dollars. So that's the perfect part-time schedule. Take a screenshot of it and implement. But listen, 168 hours. You got 20 for me. You got 20 for yourself. You got 20 for your haters. You got 20 for your doubters. You got 20 for that stress. You got 20 for that. What is $13,500 from a 19-year-old, right? And you're 42 watching this being like, oh, man, what did they do? They called them. They picked up the phone. I guarantee you we had a quality conversation with a distressed property owner and got that deal. You can do it too. Anybody can do it. Yeah, I'm telling you, everybody watching the show could have $1 million, multi-million-dollar business, and we wouldn't even put a dent into the distressed property market. 12 million vacant properties have been vacant for over a year. That's single-family properties in this country. If we all did 100 deals this year on this, watching this right now, it wouldn't even it's not even a drop in the bucket. There is a conveyor belt of opportunities out there. I am telling you, go out there, find those opportunities, and just be consistent with it. Everybody can build $1 million business, no doubt about it. You got to be that person. You got to push it. You got to earn it. You got to be on the court playing all the time. The problem is what we do is we're like, oh, I'm a business owner. I'm going to work on the business, not in the business, and you don't even have a business. You got to provide value. You got to bring income in. You got to serve the community and then build a machine to serve the community. You can't just build a machine to serve the community. If you're not serving the community, you're just serving yourself. And then it doesn't work and it breaks down. So build a machine. Team machine. There you go. I work 70 hours a week selling cars. Is it too much to think I can get a deal working these hours? No. I have students working the same amount. Doctors, long haul truck drivers, military. They can't even have their phones on them while they're working. So there's a lot of people that are working a lot and are still making it happen. What I would say is just build up your endurance. Go for 15 minutes a day. then go for 20, then go for 30, then go for 45, then go for an hour, and build it up, build it up, build it up, build it up. But it has to be sustainable, and it has to fit into your life. All right?
Hey, Brent, I want to add something to that. Sometimes it can get a little crazy, and I've had it with students, especially I have a lot of cops, firemen, people who can't have access to their phone while they're doing their thing, right?
Right.
So if it's not a time thing, allocate calls. So I mean, wrap your head around the idea that you got to reach out to 5 new people per day, and if you have gaps throughout the day, I mean, use those gaps to take on those calls. But set yourself a target, not just and if you can't allocate like a whole time block of an hour or 2 hours, give yourself a target. Okay, I'm going to reach out to 5 people, and then make that be the thing for that day.
Perfect. Awesome. Dylan, in your multi-line dialer, what is a good contact rate you strive for? What is the industry average? 7%, Dylan. 7%. It used to be 10. It used to be 15%, to be honest. But 7% is solid. 7% is really good. And anybody that you can't get a hold of, text them. For real. Text them. We use Batch Leads. It's phenomenal. Batchleads.io. TTP there as well, giving you the resources, and I work to get you discounts on those. So we use that to organize all of our lists, because what happens is we get all these lists of thousands of properties that are in distress, and then how do we organize them? How do we make sure that we're not skip tracing the same addresses, or we're uploading the same addresses all the time into our dialer? How do we stay organized? We do that literally on a daily basis with Batch Leads. We use it every single day, and then we text out about 1,000 people every single day. So 25,000, Paul. Typically in major markets, it's about 25,000 texts per deal. In smaller markets, it could be anywhere from 8 to 10,000, but typically it's 25,000. Listen, text messaging typically is the lowest hanging fruit. And but listen, if they're not answering, if you're only getting 7% contact rate, you got 93% of the people that you're not talking to. You got to, the front door's closed, you got to go through the window. Used to say you got to go through the back door, but everybody gives me looks when I say that. So anyway, go through the window. There you go. Two-part question coming up. Jonathan, when does the title company get paid for their services, title search and etc., at the end, but by the buyer? Like, are there any initial fees that seller and buyer have to pay? There are some markets where the title companies charge up front. Most markets, they get paid when it closes. And in our contract, the buyer pays the closing costs. Now, that is negotiable. That is not like industry standard. I mean, it's industry standard for our industry, but for investing or for wholesaling. But like in retail, typically it's split between the buyer and the seller. So you can negotiate that. It's another banana in the fruit basket if you go and you are saying, hey, listen, I'll give you cash as is. We pay everything. This is a net offer to you. So that $100,000 minus whatever taxes you owe or whatever liens are on the property, that gets paid off, and you get to keep the rest. So people really like knowing what they can expect at the end of the day, which is really important, which really helps them understand, okay, I need to walk away with $80,000 in this, and this is the price that will allow you to do it based on what you owe, what your property taxes are owed, and we're going to take care of all the title and escrow fees. Lastly, what if the deal doesn't close? Like if the buyer pulls out of the contract, isn't fulfilled in the contract window, then the title and escrow don't get paid. They did all that work, don't get paid. Yeah.
It's the same thing as a traditional real estate agent. And sometimes you get to the closing table and it falls through because of the lender or whatever, and it's empty work. It's really what it is at that point. But don't let that stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that you guys have to understand about title and escrow companies. Their profitability is so bananas that they will do everything they can to get deals coming in through the door, that if it falls out, they don't care. They've got 1,000 other ones that they're closing. And they're literally giving insurance on the fact that they did their job right. That's what title insurance is. It protects that there's no unknown liens that they didn't find, or if something gets filed later and it pops up, they'll have insurance on it so that you are the sole owner or title owner of that property. But title and escrow, I mean, you know, they got so much money. I mean, it's the profitability on the title company is incredible. All insurance companies, really, but especially title, because if you look at how many actual like payments that they make, insurance payments that they cover, it's like teeny tiny. Well, I mean, they check all the records. They make sure that's their first job, and then they give you insurance that they did a good job. You know what I mean? So there you go. Junior, a big guy in the business swears by Propelio for building cash buyer list. Is there a reason why I don't hear Propelio mentioned much on any other channels? Junior, I assume you're probably in Texas. Propelio is very good in Texas. That's why. Propelio is Texas-based, and they do a great job in Texas. So if that's a great place to build your cash buyer database, then yeah, rock and roll, brother. Yeah. Listen, test it out. Test out all these. I mean, you can get it from PropStream. You can get it from Propelio. But if you feel like Propelio gives you an extra advantage, when you get a deal, send it out there and see how that list responds. Either way, you got to be proactive. Either way, you got to get it out. Either way, you got to go hard to sell your deals. Mike Dodd. How often are you guys doing creative finance deals? How often are you doing it?
They're the exception, not the norm.
Right.
I mean, we do come in, we use it as an extra tool, but I mean, I don't know, if it's 10 deals, we'll probably end up doing 1 or 2. So we do them, but it's not the, the meat and potatoes.
Yeah. Mike, I don't do any. And I'll explain to you why. This is where, people kind of get a little bit like, well, wait a second, why not? There'd be so many opportunities and this and that. If you're looking for creative finance deals, you will find creative finance deals. If you are looking for wholesale deals that make you a whole bunch of money, you're going to find wholesale deals that make you a whole bunch of money. So in our business, I want my acquisition managers focused on getting wholesale deals that make us a whole bunch of money. Okay, and by the way, I thought it was 1.6. We ended up 1.7 million. 1711 million this year. That's bananas. 50% profitability, my dad told me. My dad's my CFO. 50%, right?
Brent,
yeah. So Mike, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If you're looking for creative finance deals, then it's gonna be different conversations. You're gonna look for people that have 100% equity, typically. I don't step into the sub 2 game. That is Pace Morby's whole side of business. My strategy is this, Mike, and I think that this is what keeps my mind really clear and keeps me super happy. And this is just me. I don't know if you feel this, then you feel this. If not, I totally get it. But my thought is go out there, get as much cash in as possible, take that cash and buy really nice properties in really good school districts or commercial properties like Raf is talking about that's close to a real bustling area that can give you really good cash flow. I would rather own 5 properties that make me 80 grand a month in cash flow than 500 properties to do the same. You know what I mean? So I'm very selective on the properties that I buy. I buy most of my properties cash, just because I'm a weird guy. I mean, there's leverage is important in our business, and I think that I'll probably get more into that later. But I lost deals. I went through foreclosure. I have a weird hang up on getting a bunch of loans out there and owing a bunch of debt. Is it good debt? Is it bad debt? Whatever. It's still debt. So that's my strategy. I build a heavy bank account and I buy really nice properties in good appreciating areas that are really good school districts that I can get really good tenants that are going to stay there for a really long time. Because I consider every rental property a small business, and I consider the renters in that business the people that run that business. So I want really good people running each one of those businesses and keeping it clean and not destroying the business from the inside out. All right, so that's That's my strategy. Creative finance deals, I think that they're incredible. Just remember, if you are doing a lot of creative finance deals, that's a different business. That's building your portfolio. That's another business. That's a whole nother business. It's not like income stream. It is an income stream, but it's also a whole nother business. How much space do you have up here? Are you growing your ability to earn a bunch of cash right now and get out of your full-time job, or to be able to pay off debts, or to pay off student loans and car loans and consumer debts and all that stuff that's taking all your money, all of your efforts essentially? You're like putting out all this energy and all this value to the community. The community is then paying you income, and then you're taking that income and paying some bank. It's essentially what it is. You're paying somebody else's, you're somebody else's ROI if you have consumer debt. So I'd pay off all that. I'd make sure that you can go full-time into this. I'd make sure that you're building a real successful business. And then at that point, when you're ready to pull yourself out of the business, the day-to-day of the business, and you want to start building that portfolio, I would do that. I see too many people doing both, and they're like super successful, and they want to, they just want to take a nap. They're just so tired. And then they have family on top of it, and they have a relationship with their significant other on top of it, and then they have their family, their extended family, and then they have friends, and then they have church, and they have all these other things pulling them, and then everybody's frazzled, and it can't last. It's not a long-lasting strategy. So I don't know. That's me on a soapbox, Mike. But creative finance deals, if you want to build it, rock and roll. But if you're at that point where you have consumer debt and you are not doing this full time, or you're not hiring people to build this thing into a machine, I think wait. You'll be able to do that. I get the whole thing. When's the best time to plant a tree? It was 20 years ago. When's the best time to when's the best time to buy a rental property? 20 years ago. I get it, but I can see by that picture you have a long time to do this thing. And so I think patience, build your business, and then start buying some really good deals. That's my opinion. That was a long answer to that. Thank you. It was inside me. I had to get it out. Chris, how often are you having sellers carry a second on a seller finance deal? Never. Yeah. Again, I don't do those deals, Chris. I don't want to be in bed with the seller. I don't want them to be around. I want to get in, I want to get out, I want to own it, either cash or get some traditional financing with a bank with a really low interest rate. I've got great credit and I've got cash. Like, you guys, listen, if you build your business, you will have great credit and cash. That means you get the golden ticket. The reason people don't use the golden tickets, or they already use up their golden tickets and then have to go creative finance. What do I mean by golden tickets? A bank or a local bank will 3 to 4% interest rate. Good luck going and finding that. I mean, maybe if you take over somebody's sub 2, but then you're married to them for the next 10 years, to a distressed property owner, and dealing with that whole thing. So I like lifestyle, guys. I can't stress this enough. Lifestyle, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how many doors you have. If your lifestyle is constant with you can never take a breath and never have a clear frame of mind because you have a million little darts being thrown at you all the time with drama, which happens as an entrepreneur all day long, then you're just not going to grow and be super happy. I would rather be super happy and grow this thing slower. You can get to the same ending. You can build that 10, 20, 40 million dollar net worth. You can be that guy that has to hire a whole team to manage your wealth, or gal that to hire somebody that's going to manage your wealth. But you can't do it if you burn out. It's tough. You see it every time. You see it all the time. People all of a sudden just boom. All these big influencers, all these big people, all these big coaches, all these big investors, all these bigger pockets people, all these things. You follow them, all of a sudden they disappear for like 90 days or 120 days for self-reflection. And then all of a sudden they've changed their whole philosophy on life. And then they're this and that and all this other thing. It's because they're taking on too much. This is because there's not enough brain power left over to live a nice, comfortable lifestyle. It's just too much drama. It's too much action. It's too much noise. So I want to keep it real simple. I want to make sure that everybody that watches this makes a ton of money and invests in really good properties, really good assets, get really good long-term, and can do this for the next 50, 60, 70 years, not let me go hardcore for the next 60 months, right? The next 5 years, I'm going to go real hard. No, let's do this for a while, and let's have a lot of fun doing it. Let's have a lot of energy doing it. Let's get a lot of sleep doing this, right? That's what I think.
I love it.
I'm serious. I think a lot of people sleep on lifestyle.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that it's hustle mode and success mode, and I get it. Like, listen, I was broke, and I went hard, real hard. And you got to do that. You got to build it up, and you got to be proactive. But really hard was 15 hours of prospecting a week out of 168 hours. 15 hours a week over years, and set me up now.
It's easy to fall into that, right, when you're on that survival stage. But ask yourself the question, what's the point? What is this for? The hours that you're putting into it. What's the point? What is this for? To live, right? The journey.
Here's a beautiful example. This is like the most clear picture of this. You just mentioned it. What is that list that you got that deal from? Absentee owner, which means a tired landlord. Why are they tired? Because they take on too much. 85% of these deals that we do are from tired landlords or the vacant properties. They're exhausted. The stars are like totally melted out of their eyes. Like, this happens, people. I'm telling you, if you follow this process, you are going to win way bigger and way longer, and it's not going to be me buying that property that you just did a seller financing on or creative financing on today that you only made $100 cash flow after everything was said and done. And oh, by the way, after 10 years, you got to totally renovate that whole property. So all that equity that you had into it is now getting spent into renovating that so that you could get full market value. And oh, I hope you are timing this right. I hope the market's hot during that time, because if it's down, then you're not making anything. So you're investing all this money into renovating these properties after owning them 10, 15 years. You've got a little bit of cash flow. You've done well on depreciation. That's fantastic. And now you're exhausted and want to sell these things. Don't let me buy your properties in 15 years. Buy good properties in good school districts and make sure that that you're doing it when the timing is right, when you're ready.
Hey, I want to go back to Chris's question there for a little bit. I want to give him a little bit of a strategy on that second. So we do use creative financing. And for example, like one scenario where that kicks in is if we can't make the price match and we're assigning the deal. We don't always take, even when we're doing seller financing, we'll assign the seller financing structure of the deal. So that works for the end buyer because they're doing their thing. But we don't want to keep the seller tied into that deal for a long, long time. Sometimes we just have to get a little bit creative because the numbers don't necessarily work right there and then. But for example, on that second, you can cut it down to maybe a year on that second and assign it, right? And do a lump sum at the end of a year where it gives the buyer enough time to come in and then rehab it, refinance, do whatever they need to do on it. So that's when we've done deals like that. So having a seller carry a second is usually a very short term. You're talking a year, something like that. And sometimes it's just no interest, type of stuff where they just get a lump sum for whatever the balance was. At the end of that 1 year, and that helps assign the deal to somebody else.
Right. But that's not you keeping that deal.
No, it's not. You're not keeping it. You're assigning the deal. We don't take it down. So we don't marry the seller, and we actually don't get them married to the buyer for a long, long time either. Yeah. We tell them, listen, somebody's going to come in, assume the responsibility of the loan is going to be in place, and in a year you're going to be out of this thing, and it's going to be done. Yeah.
Awesome. Daniel, are the repair costs for a rental property in a heavy rental area different than a flip property? Yeah, for sure, Daniel. I mean, listen, you're not going to be putting in the top of the line aesthetically pleasing fixtures or appliances. You're going to want flooring that's more wear and tear, something that's, it isn't as, yeah, you're going to spend probably 25-30% less of a budget for a rental property than you will for a fix and flip. Yeah, good question. Tatiana. Oh, I love that name. That's such a cool name. When going after MLS listings, is it a good idea to go after older listings? Absolutely. Yeah, just make sure that you're getting a huge discount. Don't give them the list price if it's been on the market for 180 days at $330 and you're like, well, everything else is selling at $400. This looks like a really great deal. There's a reason it hasn't sold in 180 days at $330. You know what I mean? You need to get that thing at $230. So same rules apply. You just got to see if they're realistic to take a huge, you got to find their low anchor. You got to find their threshold of what is the lowest that they will take on those deals. Because what will happen is all your cash buyers will see it on Zillow and they'll see it on the MLS, and they're going to be trying to comp this property, and they're going to comp it, and they're going to see it's on the MLS for $330 and that you're selling it at $330 or $340. They're like, maybe this isn't a deal. This has been on the market for a long time and nobody else wanted it. I don't think this is a deal. Something funky's going on. So there you go. Tatiana. Hi, Brent. Any tip? Look at that cool pic. Hi, Brent. Any tips for when a seller ghosts you after your initial offer? Whew, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, I'm wondering if it was a verbal offer. If it was, you might have you might have given it too soon, right? You got to make sure that the timeline is really close. You got to make sure that you're throwing something out to kind of get a response from them. If they're not giving you an offer, to make sure that there's somebody that you can do business with, you can do that. But I always frame it in the sense of, it looks like your neighbors in your area that are in similar conditions, similar size to your property, are selling for whatever that price is. Is that kind of what you were thinking? Right? If they're not giving you an offer, and then hopefully that pulls an offer out of them. But if I'm going to their house with a contract, either I'm leaving with that signed contract or I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many upfront agreements that are going to happen before I go on that appointment. First of all, I'm going to get the 4 pillars: the condition, timeline, motivation, and price, every time. Okay? And then 2 is, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, when I come out, yeah, here we go. This is perfect. Yeah, this is absolutely perfect. Here you go. Here's your closing pitfalls. These are the things that happen when you don't get those deals closed, right? Missing the decision window. That's, either they made the decision, they told you, yeah, it's call me back in 2 months and we'll be ready to sell, and then they sell it the next week, right? So making sure you're staying in front of them. Sometimes you get outbid by other people. Sometimes you didn't pre-qualify them. Sometimes you didn't seem like you weren't really certain with the process or really certain with your offer. The lack of likability. Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe you're just too rough right now. Maybe you need to confirm and approve more of what they're saying and not cause as much friction in the appointment or in the conversations or in the relationship. And sometimes you get out-relationshiped, meaning they sold it to their cousin, they sold it to their aunt, they sold it to their neighbor, they sold it to a kid they went to high school with, whatever. And then the last one is the upfront agreements. When I come out tomorrow, I'm really excited about our appointment today at 2 o'clock. Before I come out, I just wanted to ask you, if we agree on the price and the terms, and we're all good there, is there anything stopping you from signing the agreement when I come out today at 2? And then you're pulling out those objections, right? Now you know what to expect, so that you're not heartbroken when they don't sign the contract and don't respond to you for a few days. So most of the time, what I would do is, if they are not responding to you, go to the door. Just go see them. But most of that is upfront. Most of that is because upfront, yeah.
Agreements. Also the initial offer, if it's done through the phone, it's always a range.
Yeah.
You never want to do a solid offer.
There you
Like
go.
the offer is never done until it's put in writing or sent via contract or something like that. Then it's a different thing. But the initial one, always do a range, and then kind of wrap it up with depending on the condition of the property. And
Yeah.
then, so throw 70 to 85% into the ballpark. That way you at least know if they're willing to work with you on the negotiation of the price.
There you go. $250,000 deal. Ooh, I want to look at this thing. Might be a keeper.
I think it's gonna turn into that 30K month-to-month deal for us. I mean,
You need any money?
we're gonna perhaps.
Oh, he's stiff arming me. Look at him. He's got too many
Perhaps.
connections.
I mean, I don't know.
You got
I mean,
too
Brent-
many people. I get it.
Brent,
I know.
get in line.
I know. He doesn't.
Brent.
Yeah, get in line. For real. I'm telling you. Andrew, should I work for a wholesaler before I start wholesaling? Do either of you have teams or businesses in Jacksonville, Florida? Andrew, I think it is a phenomenal idea. Here's a couple different things, though. If you go into it to a wholesaling business and you say, hey, listen, I just want to kind of learn what this is about while you're working for them, they're not going to really like it. And some of them make you sign a non-compete, and that gets a little bit sticky. Most of them aren't really enforceable, but talk to an attorney about it. But it's a great way to learn. I think that what you should say is if you're going to go in with a really reputable company, you need to say, listen, I will guarantee I will work as hard as I can for the next year. And at that point, we can reassess. And if I feel like, I can do this on my own, I'm going to let you know. If not, then we'll just keep working together. I think if you just say, listen, I'm going to work my face off for you for a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is before starting my own company, I think that that's the approach that you have. I don't have a business in Jacksonville. I have a ton of really great, a handful, I wouldn't say a ton, of really great students out in Jacksonville that are crushing it. So just make sure that you're putting in, hopefully people are reaching out now, Andrew, in our comments. If not, Wholesale Hotline on Mondays are a phenomenal way to connect there as well. Also, I would go to meetup.com and either go online or get the app, and I would start going to wholesaling or real estate investing meetups in your area, and that's where you're going to make some really, really, really good connections. And you just got to remember, it's not about, hey, I'm Andrew, I'm badass, you show me the ropes and I'll get you some deals and it'll be good. No. Say, listen, I am going to work my face off for you. I'm going to work really hard for you. I'm going to provide a ton of value for your company. And in a year, we'll reassess and we'll see if I'm ready to start my own business. So I think it's smart. I think that you could do it yourself, honestly. I think that unless they're providing you some really incredible leads to close, then you could just do it yourself. You could listen, Andrew, you could go drive all over Jacksonville, get the ugliest houses and call them today and start, making deals. It's just consistency and doing it over and over and over and over.
I think if you're going to go work for somebody or in somebody's operation and that's the purpose, I mean, kind of like an internship, make sure they have something to offer besides a dialer. All right.
Instead of just being a cold caller.
They're giving you exposure. They're giving you, breakdowns. They're giving you insight as to how to break deals. And think about cutting the learning curve, okay? Because it's going to take you a bit to learn this thing, right? But if you go somewhere where they already have experience and they're putting you in the front line, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And when you're there, over-deliver. Yep. Over-deliver. Yep. I mean, and I particularly resonate with that scenario because I got to work for when I started wholesaling. Yeah. It was Sean Terry.
Right.
Like it was the guy. It was Sean Terry's guy.
Acquisition manager.
Yeah. I mean, that's an easy one, right? Like you go in there. There's a lot of value to be gained on both sides, because I mean I was just bleeding, for the company, and I was learning a lot. Yeah. So if you find a spot that can help you and feed you that way, yeah, absolutely, go work for a wholesaler. Otherwise, I mean, you can give it a shot on your own. Yeah. It's
Andrew, again, I don't know when you jumped on here, but the 17 steps to a wholesale transaction, it's literally a checklist in TTP Insider. Matt, will you pop that up one more time? Here's the steps. I mean, that is it. So if you're wondering, like peering around corners, what's the next step? What do I need to do? It's literally right here. That's it. Literally right here. The 17 steps so that you feel confident. And I guarantee that that's laid out better than what most people have internally in their wholesaling business. Tom, I have a potential lead. Owner is in forbearance with the bank and is contemplating selling. How often should I follow up without being annoying? There is no such thing, Tom, as annoying to a distressed, motivated seller. They want you to communicate. It's the way that you communicate, Tom, that's going to matter. High energy, positive, helping them any way that they can, and being human about it. Don't be too professional. Hey, I'm just checking in. Wanted to see how things were going. If you need anything, I know the last time we talked, you were taking your dog to the vet, and just want to make sure that Sparky's okay or whatever else. And obviously, I'm here when you're ready to sell the property. Just let me know. Just touch. If they're in forbearance, they're obviously in a situation where they probably can't pay for their mortgage anymore. So there's distress there. So I would say find out their timeline. If they're going to be making a decision to sell the property in the next 30 days, then you need to be in front of them as often as possible, daily. Maybe every other day, depending on the situation. But they'll tell you if it's too much. They'll tell you either by not responding, or they'll tell you by, hey, listen, just call me next week. Like, I can't get to your call. But I love over communication always wins.
Yeah, one thing that we have as a standing rule for follow-ups is at the end of the call, we always ask them, hey, it's great talking to you. Is it okay if I give you a call back in a couple of days?
Yep.
Not 100%, but 99% of the time they're going to say, yeah, that's fine. And then when you call them next time, you already have permission.
Yeah.
So it's not a weird, obnoxious type of call. It's, hey, I'm calling you again, just like I promised, and, where are we at?
Yeah, our company policy is to over-communicate. So if I'm ever bugging you, please let me know. But I'd rather over-communicate with you than you feel like I'm not going to be around when you need me. That's it. That's the conversation. You can put it right on the nose. Like literally, listen, I am going to over-communicate. It's our company policy because we just know that when we over-communicate, we can help out a lot faster. If we're pushing too hard, just let me know. Not a problem. I want to work at your speed, but I also want to make sure that you know that we are ready to go to work for you at any time. Yeah. Ararat. How many % you give cash buyers agents? How you collaborate with the agent? Well, it just depends. So what I'll do is, just to give you an example, just to kind of switch this up here. If we're putting out a deal, let's say we're putting out a deal at $200,000, okay? And we locked it up for $160,000, okay? And I say, hey, listen, buyer's agent, I've got this incredible deal that your buyer can buy at $200,000. Anything that you want to put on top of that for your commission, do it. So they'll go, okay, and then they'll tell their buyer, hey, for $210,000 you can buy this deal. The agent gets $10,000, I get $40,000, and then the buyer gets the deal. They get the deal, and the seller gets $160,000. That's how it works. So. Yeah, I would just tell them to add on top of what you have. All right? Get them to add on top of the price that you have. Now, if they're like, listen, I already sent it out to them at $200,000, what you sent, and they wanted it at $200,000. Is there any way that you can pay me $5,000 and you've got a $40K deal and it's the only buyer and they're really solid and you want to build a relationship with the agent? Great. Case by case. Yeah, fine. I'll take 35. You take 5. We'll keep it at 200. We'll make this as smooth as possible. But for the most part, we're educating them. Put your commission on top. Tatiana, does broker fee get paid at closing? Yes. Yeah, so whether it be a listing agent or a buyer's agent, whatever it is, that gets paid through title always. Yeah. Dylan, hey Brent, when on the multi-line dialer, what tips can we implement to increase life of a phone number from being spammed, number of calls per number, decrease abandonment rate? Nothing, Dylan. No, there's a couple different things. I mean, there's a couple different hacks that I've seen. It really just depends on where you're getting your phone number from. Batch Dial does a really great job, but you can buy SIM cards that have different phone numbers that typically last a lot longer. That's something that I discussed in the support call with my TTP group, with my TTP coaching students last week. Some of them are buying, like going to Best Buy, and it's like a few dollars to buy like a SIM card with a phone number on it. And that's been interesting, and that's been connecting a lot of people. So that could be something that you look into. But Batch is always working on making sure that the numbers are going to be last longer so that the contact rate stays up. Horatio. Brent, I'm trying to get my mind straight because I'm tempting to keep every property I'm dealing with. LOL, thoughts on that? Tempted or tempted? Well, listen, it depends on what your strategy is. If your strategy is, you know what, I'm going to work my job and I'm going to build up a portfolio of properties till my passive cash flow equals my income, and then I can do this full time. Or if it's, I'm going to get a bunch of deals, get a bunch of cash, get out of my job faster so that I can be 100% a real estate entrepreneur and really find some outstanding deals. It just depends. You know what I mean? Like, listen, I'm not telling you to not own property. I'm just telling you that there is a certain process to doing this and not going crazy and not turning into a tired landlord that we're going to buy your deals from. We're going to buy deals from you in 10 to 15 years because you're exhausted with these properties and they weren't fixed up and your tenants beat them up because you bought them in rougher neighborhoods, or you bought them and they weren't renovated. And you have to renovate them and you have to put a bunch of money into it and you don't want to. There's a lot of things that go into owning property. Listen, my wife at 9:20 last night was like, something's wrong with both of our pools. And I'm like, geez. And she's like, it's like on her mind as she's going to bed. Like, that's the type of things. And like 20x, 100x that. Well, I'll get a property manager for that. Who's going to manage your property manager? That's a whole nother business. You can do it. You can get somebody. You can get a VA. You can get somebody that's a real property manager. You can get them in. But property managers burn out. They're not going to last forever. You got to manage something. There's no such thing as true passive income with this thing, right? You're going to be involved. I'm telling you right now. And if you're not, we're buying your properties in 10 to 15 years. We are, because things will slip. And the properties will get beat up, and the roof will start leaking, and the plumbing will stop, will start getting old, and the electrical will have some issues. And like, there's a lot of things that go on with the maintenance of a property, a lot of things. So you got to have all those things organized and all those things. And listen, it's a business. I'm saying do it, but I'm saying do it after you're doing this thing full time, after you've paid off your consumer debts, after you've, built a business that's going to keep the cash flow coming in so that you can keep pumping it into your wealth creation. Michael. Hi, Brent. Any change-ups for the script when door knocking pre-foreclosures? No, I don't think so, Michael. I mean, I've tested both, like literally personally, knocking on doors with a whole group of I convinced 5 other real estate agents and myself to knock doors in 2011 and 12, about 15,000 doors. And what I found is the conversation's the same. They will, every pre-foreclosure, be like, oh, you saw that it's a pre-foreclosure. And they say, yeah, that, we work with a lot of people that are in this situation to get out of this situation. So I'd love to discuss the options with you. My G, how big of a list should I pull? I'm in Atlanta. Start with 1,000 addresses. If you're going to pull a list, start with 1,000 addresses. And just remember, the equation is 50 addresses an hour is typically what you can call if they have 3 numbers attached to them, right? So you're typically on a dialer going to call 150 numbers an hour. So 50 hours, 1,000 leads, 1,000 properties, that's going to be 20 hours. Now, it's not exactly accurate because when you get the skip trace back, it'll be about 90%. So you get about 900 back, but it'll keep you busy. 900 back with phone numbers. Do you ever get deals through auctions? I got a lot of deals back in the day through auctions. The issue right now is there's just not a lot of deals going through auction. You know, our market has appreciated so much that people are selling these things before it goes to auction, but some slip through. And there's real pros down there that list it. But you have to be that has to be a big core part of your business. And I've had some great conversations with some great guys around the country that do that, and I'm going to bring them onto the show to talk about it because I think it's important. I think it's a really cool strategy. But just remember, with auctions, you gotta buy those deals quickly, especially if it's a trustee auction. If it's like one of those online auctions, you get a little bit more time. But if it's a foreclosure auction, you have to bring in the funds 100% within 24 hours. What you got, Ref? Are you bidding at all?
No.
Bidding at all at the trustee auctions?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Hey, Brent, I know you said the standard contact or dialing 7% of people you make contact with. What percentage are that's what I consider contact, the 7%. Yeah, Dylan. I don't consider a contact somebody that's a wrong number or a relative or a tenant or anything like that. When I say contact rate, that means the actual owner of the property. Yep. Good question. Thank you for getting me to clarify. I have 100K, Maisha. I have 100K. What steps would you take to 10x that? Well, a couple different things. One is if you're in a position the number one answer to that is you build a business, right? You build a business to be able to 10x your money. Listen, let's not get this, like, the wealthiest people are wealthy because they're business owners, right? This thing, right? Let's get real right here. Right? Classic Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant. Employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. You want to 10x your 100K? It's right here. Business owner, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that's bringing in the right people. That's bringing in the right team. Now the question is, did you make $100,000 on your real estate business? Then yes, expand that out. If you got $100,000 right now and you're getting this going, you're like, I can do this business. I can be really great at wholesaling, really great at flipping, really great at building wealth and holding on to those. Then I would keep that 100K and I would keep building up your bank account through getting wholesale deals, through getting more and more deals, and then start hiring an acquisition manager, disposition manager, and lead manager. Again, $1.7 million this year, 50% profitability. I spend 5 hours in the business a week, maybe. Most of that time is 3 hours when they're here on Fridays with my team, and we go over the scoreboard and just mess around because they're literally my college roommates, and my college roommate's wife run the business. It's fantastic. It's like the best. But it's building the business. That's how you 10x that 100,000. And then from there, then you gotta be the investor and build those assets, right? Yeah. Great question.
Being the investor, just offered me cash.
What?
You just offered me cash about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's what being the investor is.
100%.
Putting the money to work for you, right?
100%.
Where you're not, but you already built that machine.
Yeah.
You were an employee. You moved to self-employed at one point. You moved to building a business. That's crushing it, and then you're in the investor space. So that's it. That's really how it works.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, when we start, we're self-employed. You can literally be self-employed with the decision that you make right now. That's it. You're self-employed, right? You're out there. You're looking for deals. You're door knocking. You're calling. You are the player on the field, right? You are Ronaldo. You know what I'm saying? You're out there. You're performing. You're building your skills. You're showing up every day. But if you don't show up, you're not getting paid, right? Or if you're not succeeding, you're not getting paid. You're not being the top, right? And then from there, you become a business owner. You become the owner of the team. And then from there, you take that and then you invest into assets. They give you good cash flow. But what a lot of people want to do is they go self-employed straight to investor, and then they get all jumbled up. They go, oh, I just made all this money. I'm going to buy all these properties, even though they haven't built their machine to have them buy way more properties at way deeper discounts and time the market. Just saying. It's 17 years of experience. I've seen it. I know it. I've been crushed by it. Hey, Brent, finally got my first contract signed with a seller and buyer, 5K spread. I'm grateful for all you do and all you shared. Thank you, Brad. Congratulations.
Let's go, Brad.
First one for Brad. Come on.
And Brent, you know what? He's doing it all from the couch.
Yeah, there he is.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, I saw you. It's a little play on.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's never heard that before. I'm sure there's never been a pun.
What can I say? I'm very
about
original.
his last name. But Brad, listen, I'm telling you, the first one is so important. Proof of concept, faith to fact. Woo! Not only is it in your brain now that you can do it, but you're showing everybody else like how exciting it is to get your first deal. It's incredible. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being brave and sharing that. That's incredible. Chris, how would you budget your time if you had 3 full days a week to wholesale? Thanks, Brent. I would go hard at lead generation. Lead generation, lead generation, lead generation. Build up your pipeline of leads, and you're going to need, I would say, without a doubt, you need a partner or an agent or something. And I'm not a big partnership type thing, but in the beginning, if you've only got 3 days and some seller wants an appointment on the other 4 days that you're working, you can't get there and you're going to lose that deal, you need somebody as backup. You need somebody as backup for sure. And that could just be, I need a partner until I get out of the 4 days a week that I'm working and can do it full time. You can have that conversation with somebody and just say, hey, listen, I would love to partner up with you on doing this. I'm going to go hard these 3 days. I'm going to bring a lot of opportunities to us, but I need you to go out and close them on the days that I can't. And once I can get out of my job, then we can reassess our partnership. And if we feel like we should go separate ways, we'll do that. If not, we'll start doing. If not, we'll do our. We'll just keep building this business as partners.
One thing that works really good, and I've seen it with my students, is partnering up with new agents.
Yes.
Especially at that point in time, right? There's not a lot of experience on their side.
Yep.
Maybe limited experience on our side, and just bringing those two together. I mean, the effort that's being put into it by both parties, it makes sense. And then you have resources. You have somebody who understands the market. They're in it. They're not just side gigging it, and it's a good way to start up, I think.
Yep.
I'm really liking this camera, man.
I know, it looks really good. Yeah.
Look.
Devin.
Look how soft my skin looks.
It looks good. I don't know what those weird suction cup marks on your neck are. Wild, man.
It's cupping.
I know what it is, but it's crazy. That's crazy. Looks like it's like a henna tattoo or something. All right.
I made out with an alien.
Yeah. You got attacked by an octopus.
Yes.
Devin, might be a little off topic from wholesaling, but what do you know about infinite banking and how can we leverage that in REI? Raf, anything infinite banking? No. Not my thing. Devin, that is Devin was talking. Actually, Devin Burr. Devin Burr was talking about infinite banking.
Look up Devin Burr.
I have been told about it. I don't know. It was over my head, Devin. I try to keep things super, super, super simple. I think that, listen, anything that says bank in it, listen, people think that owning the properties is the baller move. Being the bank is the baller move. Banks have the best real estate everywhere because they make all the money. Banks run this thing, okay? Banking, and they're not fixing toilets. They're not dealing with tenants. They're not doing any of that. So part of my strategy is to be the bank. So I should probably look into infinite banking. Good question, Devin. And if anybody's on here, hit us up. Let us know. Educate us a bit. I'll find somebody on it. Let me make a note. Yep. Infinite banking. Boom. But listen, Devin, if you're in a position where you're crushing it from a real estate standpoint and bringing a lot of cash in, then get into it. But if you're not, stay focused. This was the biggest problem that I have. Not Devin, I'm not saying that this is you. You could be balling out a multimillionaire, and I hope you are. But the number one thing that I get like real respect for among my peers is my focus. For real. Like focus and lifestyle. Everybody's like, oh, you got this great lifestyle and focus, and you're always happy, and you always have energy. There is a reason for that, because there's a long time that I didn't, because I wanted to do everything. I wanted to do sub-2. I wanted to do seller financing. I wanted to do fix and flips. I wanted to build apartments. I wanted to buy apartments. I wanted to develop land. I wanted to fix and flip commercial. I wanted to do it all. And then you start getting into these things and you realize if you're not putting full effort into these new businesses 100% and really putting a lot of your time and attention and power behind it. Listen, I am not Elon Musk. Probably most of us watching this are not Elon Musk, where you can balance all this thing and work 120 hours a week and have this weird balanced lifestyle and not balanced, totally unbalanced. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I think that you need a special brain for that. Pace Morby has that brain. Pace Morby has 17 different businesses, and he can go and wake up at 2:30 a.m. and grind until 9:30 and do that thing. And that's what makes him happy. I am the complete opposite. I want to be as impactful as I can in the coaching, and I want to have a really successful wholesaling business. And then find opportunities here and there to invest the cash into really great assets. That's what I do. And I spend a lot of time with my family. I spend a ton of time with my friends. And that's what keeps my energy up. And I sleep a lot. So, and I get to exercise. And I get to do all these things. Like, what's your perfect day? I don't think your perfect day is, I'm going to grind for 12 hours a day. And then, that's your perfect day, Alejandra? Okay, well, yeah. Alejandra has it. That's why Alejandra, works with me.
That's why she's always wearing black.
That's why I get to do the things that I do, honestly. So, there you go. Sean. Brent and Raphael, my brother and I have been listening to you guys since we started, and we've closed over 100K our first year. Y'all have been a huge inspiration and help in our business. Listen, Sean, you guys did all the hard work. Congratulations. That is it. That's just the beginning. That first 100K, that starts changing your brain a little bit. And then you start thinking bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden it turns into 1 million, and you're like, what? This is bananas. Congratulations. Give them some love, Rap.
Oh, yeah. 100K, man, in a year? How's that for results?
First year.
How is that for
First
results? Year one.
First year.
Love it, Sean. Great work.
Oh, God. I love this business. It's so incredible. 3 years ago, I was living in a minivan. Now I have 12 rentals, thanks to what Brent is dropping now. Yes! Come on, Lewis. Come on, Lewis. I love it. I am telling you, if you have a cell phone, you can change everything about your financial future. I am telling you. I don't care if you come from if you've screwed up your life yourself, or you've come from a really just rough background and there hasn't been a lot of support and love and financial opportunities for your family or for whatever, or you just don't have a lot of wealth that's been accumulated, and you're going out there and you're starting from nothing and you're wondering what I should do, but you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad and you've got this weird, you're in your brain, you're like, oh, real estate, that's it. There's only a certain amount. Listen to this, by the way. There's only a certain amount of real estate on the planet. We all get that, right? But do you know that there's only a certain amount of livable real estate where you can actually have, common utilities? Do you wonder why there's so many people that live in cities and why that's so important, and where there's economy and when there is medical and where there is safety and where there is all these wonderful things like internet connection and all that? There's only a certain amount. So when we get to go out there and find these opportunities for other investors and get paid for that and build our bank accounts up, then we get to go and buy some of these properties that are in these great areas that are going to be around for forever, and it's going to appreciate, and we're going to make a fortune. That's it. I'm telling you. But if you start getting all over scatterbrained and not focused, it all, you're juggling all the time and it all drops at some point. So listen, if you have a cell phone and you have a list of distressed property owners, just ugly houses, if it's just that, if you don't want to pay for PropStream, you don't want to pay for anything, you just want to drive around, find the ugliest houses in your community, call them up and see if they would consider an offer in their property, you'll win. You'll win. And then you build and build and build and build. I'm telling you, you'll win. And then once you have that income coming in from this business and you can put your efforts into something else, it is, woo! I'm telling you, that's when you start buying your rentals. That's when you start expanding. That's when you start mentoring. That's when you start coaching. That's when you start being the bank. But you got to do this thing first. You got to get from living in a van to owning 12 doors in 3 years. You know what I mean? You got to do it by picking up and talking to people all the time. That's it. Anybody can do this.
The reason I love wholesaling, man, it really represents like a clean slate.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, like you said, it doesn't matter the background. If you had a rough, upbringing, if you had it, figured out, and you have at the end of the day, when you start doing this, it's a clean slate.
Yep.
You can build from it. It's a great vehicle. Massive imperfect action. Big kudos on that. I mean, minivan 3 years ago, now 12 rentals. It's not a small feat, man.
It's awesome.
It's awesome, Lewis. Good work.
What is the fastest way to get a deal in a new town, Ferris? Drive for dollars. Drive around, find the ugliest houses, and get the phone number. We get all of our phone numbers from batchskiptracing.com. Batchskiptracing.com. A lot of the apps have built-in skip tracing. I always pull out of the apps and put into Batch. They just have a bigger database, and it's more accurate phone numbers. And so the data really matters. Nothing's more frustrating than spending hours and hours and hours calling people and they're the wrong numbers. So make sure that you get the right phone numbers, and that's batchskiptracing.com. Amor guapo. I have a 9-to-5 and trying my best, so within 3 to 4 months I can work for myself. My question is, how would I go about calling? Work from 8 to 5 and my nephew from school around 5:30. Weekends, I would lunch breaks. Maybe test out some texting platforms throughout the day if you're able to do that and do your job. I don't know what your 9 to 5 is, but if it's pretty action packed, then you got to find the time to call from 6 to 6:30 every day, and then 9 to 1 on Saturday. You're not going to do it yourself, though. I'm telling you, you need to get a crew. You need to inspire people by either watching this and seeing people doing it or listening to podcasts or whatever. Find somebody that wants to squat up with you in your area that will go from 9 to 1 on Saturdays and do a Super Saturday with you. That's it, And just start building your pipeline of leads. Finding the little spots, the little cracks in your schedule when you can make calls, when you can call the Driving for Dollars list specifically, for sure. All right. Uh-oh! Uh-oh, a little sneak attack here. Old school. Here it is. Look who just popped in here. It is Mr. Mike Mahoney. Pop him over. Let's see him. Hey, say hi, Mike. There it is. He's back. Yes. Look at this. That's awesome. What dialer CRM do you use? I use Batch Dialer. And you get a coupon code with TTP there. You get access to it. You get to try it out for free. Batch Dialer. And then the CRM I use, actually, Rafael Cortez built for me. It's very robust. So we were using a good starter one is Investor Fuse. We used them for a while. Great company, great people. Love those guys over there, Dan and Carlos. Yeah, Raf built this one that was unmistakable. He was using it in his business, and I had eyes full of jealousy. And so he built one for us and builds one. If you're at that point where you've got 2 or 3 people and acquisition managers and you need to stay super organized, DM Raphael because he builds the best. Custom ones. That's why I call it, he's the resident genius. Investor Mike, last one. Yeah, I love that. Haters, having anger towards everyone reaching success. Yeah, haters are funny. Yeah, haters gonna hate. Well, they're just hurt. They're injured. They're not bad people. They're just injured at the moment. So, Brent, why do you use 0.84 instead of 0.7 when doing ARV? I'm gonna knock this out here. So here's the deal, guys. And I'm not exactly sure why this is controversial, but the ARV here, let's say if it is above 200,000, then you use 0.84. Okay? If it is below, you're going to use a little bit different technique. Okay? So let's do both examples really quick. So if it's above 200,000, let's just say it is 250,000. And somebody on a calculator, please. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out 10%. I'm going to subtract, sorry, but you multiply it by this is what it does. But basically you subtract 10%, which is the profit or equity that an investor wants as a minimum. So 10%, and then I'm going to subtract 6% for closing costs and holding fees. Holding. This is title and escrow. This is hard money costs. This is private money costs. So this right here is the 0.84. Okay? Now imagine this. Imagine if you went 0.7. That means that you got 6% here. You're saying that an investor wants to make 24%. So at 10%, they want to make a minimum of $25K on a flip or a rental property in equity. Now, if you put this to 24%, what's 24% of 250,000, Raf? 50,000, somewhere around there?
60.
Huh?
60.
$60,000. $60,000. So let's look at this, okay? So mine's at 25, that's at 60. Let's clear this out real quick. So you're saying that you're going to go after deals where on a $250,000 deal, you have to make $60,000 if you go 0.7. That's bananas. That's bananas. I will beat you like a drum in every market. I will beat you like a drum in every market because I know I can sell that deal for more. And you are going to lose out because I'm going to outbid you. Okay? So if you go here and you go 6%, what's 6% of 250 real quick? Because we're all going, we're all doing 6. Well, no, let's just do this. What's 0.84 of this? Of 250? What does that put us at?
210.
210, okay? And then let's say this thing needs $40,000 worth of work. So then we're going to subtract repairs. And that's $40,000, okay? $170,000 right there is the wholesale price. Now, I can lock this thing up and feel good at $140,000. And I can make $30,000 because I want to make big deals. I do big deals. But if I want to make $30,000 using the 0.7, which is invented for stuff that's well under 200,000, it's really made for markets that are like under 100,000. This turns into, what is 0.7 here? If we change this to 0.7 here, 70%.
175.
175, okay. 175 minus 40 is 135 minus the 30,000 that, what in the world? Minus the 30,000 means that you can offer that seller $105,000 when I can offer him $140,000. Right?
Yep.
Who's going to win? Ya boy. Ja boy. I'm telling you, that only works. The 0.7 works. And then if you're under 200,000, real quick, I know we're going over here, but this is the last show of the year. If you were under 200, let's say you're at 100,000, just to keep it easy, you got to times this by 0.06, which is the closing costs and the commissions and holding costs. And then you got to subtract 20,000 minimum. 20,000 is always going to be your minimum on a flip or on a rental for equity. Maybe not on a rental, that plays off, but 20,000 here, that's 6,000, that's 26,000, that's 74,000 is here, minus repairs of, let's call it 10,000, that's 64,000 is the 64,000 is the price that you can wholesale that deal for, and you locked it up for 50,000. Okay, so that's the difference with when you're under 100, under 250,000, or under 200,000. You have to build in this. If you're above 200,000, it's already built in because you put in 10% for what the investor is going to want to make on it. All right, boom, and that's it. Whatever. That is the last show of the year. Oh my gosh, what a year it has been. It has been the most incredible. I hope it's been the most incredible for you. Guys, come on out one more time. Let's celebrate everybody here. We love you guys. We support you guys. Make sure that you get into our world, ttpinsider.com. It's got all the resources for you. It's got everything that you need to really get going on behalf of, come on, Mike. Raphael and Alejandra and Aaron and Daniel and Matt and Mike Mahoney. We want to say we love you guys. Go out there and remember, listen, keep your house clean, right? Keep improving your, protect your health. Keep your house clean, protect your health, and keep improving your value to the world, and you'll live a great life. Love you. See you next year.